Peace, everyone. These are your weekly current planets and transits for the week of April 7th through April 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. All right, let's get into it. So the first planet is the sun, and the sun is in Aries. Now the sun is exalted in Aries. The sun does very well in Aries. So a lot of you guys are probably starting to want to go out more. You guys know that Aries is the body. That's the first sign of the zodiac. We are in the beginning of spring, and a lot of people are probably, like I said, want to get out, do more, go outdoors more, depending on what part of the world you are in. But if you're able to get outdoors, you probably are wanting to start to come from outside, inside, and go outside and do outside ish. Next planet we have is the moon, is currently in Leo, which the moon always waxes and wanes, so that'll be changing. Now, the moon does not do well in Leo. The moon, Leo does not like being and moon, because the moon is an emotional sign. It's that watery sign. The moon is a protective and secretive sign, whereas Leo needs to be seen. Leo needs to be seen. Somebody got to see Leo, period. Somebody got to, Leo just got to shine. And so when Leo is our, creativity, how we express ourselves, our ego. So when it's in the moon, it doesn't like to be there. It feels like it has to dim its light, if that makes sense, when it's in the moon. So subconsciously, you may struggle with expressing your individuality, your creativity, your passions, but that's only temporary, so it'll eventually fade away once the moon changes signs. Next, we have Mercury in Pisces. Now, Mercury is currently in retrograde and is in a sign of Pisces. Mercury rules our communication. Mercury rules the mind and the mouth, what we think, what we say. Mercury also rules our subconscious mind as well. Next, we have Venus. If you guys have been following my videos, my last couple of videos, I have been talking about Venus being in retrograde. Venus is still retrograde in the sign of Pisces until I think the 12th, not think to the 12th, give or take. That energy will still linger, but it is retrograde. Venus is our money, our values, our self-worth, love. Venus also rules, it rules a lot of different things. It rules money, it rules wealth, it rules women in both of our charts, men and women's chart. And Venus rules promiscuity. Yes, it does. If it's the lower octave of Venus, you can see why a person can be promiscuous. Now, with it being in Pisces, I want you guys to be careful and not, get caught up in. Now, Venus is in its exalted state when it's in Pisces, Venus does well together. Venus is all of our earthly possessions, everything that we can touch, taste, smell, see, and hear. Whereas Neptune, Pisces is ruled by Neptune. Neptune is everything that we cannot touch, we cannot feel, we cannot taste, we cannot smell, we cannot hear. It is that spiritual realm, the spiritual aspect of who we are. Now, Venus just wants to be loved. Venus is love, peace, just want to be loved, just want to be at peace, just want to be happy. Venus just want to sit back and be pretty, and be beautiful. And Pisces allows Venus's energy to do that, because Pisces don't have any boundaries. So that's why Venus does well in the sign of Pisces. Next, we have Mars in Cancer. I think Mars is still retrograde. I'm not sure. I need to double check that. I should have did that before I did this video. Now, Mars does not do well in Cancer. It is in its debilitated state when it's in Cancer. And when I say exalted planet, debilitated planet, a debilitated planet simply means that the energy does not do well in that sign. Mars is a fire sign. And when it's in Mars is ruled by a fire sign, right? It's a fire sign. When it's in a water sign, Mars does not like to be in all that water. Mars does not do well in water signs. In my opinion, Mars does not do well in water signs, and Mars does not do well in air signs, because Mars is a fiery sign. So when you got it in Cancer, it does not do well. So watch your temperament, okay? Because Mars rules your temper. Mars rules men. Mars rules men in a women's chart. Mars rules pew pew, pop pop, slice 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 slice. Mars rules WAR. So watch your tempers. Watch, watch how you take action on a lot of things. Try not to be too impulsive. Maybe you need to, sometimes you need to pick and choose your battles when Mars is in Cancer. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, it's extremely temperamental, and the energy does not do well when it's in its sign. Now, Jupiter is in the sign of Gemini. Jupiter does very well when it's in Gemini because Mercury is the mind in the mouth. It's our subconscious mind. So when it's in Jupiter, Jupiter expands everything it touches. Yes, Jupiter is our greater benefic. Now Venus is our lesser benefic, but Jupiter is the greater benefic. Jupiter is the planet of love, luck, and abundance. But you have to be careful with Jupiter because everything that Jupiter represents isn't always good. Because too much Jupiter, if too much Jupiter in your life can cause it could cause excessiveness of all kinds. It can cause insatiability, and it cause you to be insatiable, unsatisfied. So you have to be careful. You have to have that balance, which is why we have Saturn in our chart. I'm about to get to Saturn in a minute. But with it being in a sign of Jupiter, Jupiter can bring excessiveness. Anything that Jupiter touches, it expands it. So with it being in a sign of Gemini, the planet, with Mercury ruling Gemini, the mind, the mouth, how we talk, how we think, our communication. This could be a good thing. This could be a not so good thing. Now, all of this going on in the solar system, in the stars, in the cosmos, all of this affects us differently depending on where this energy is sitting in our chart. So it's not going to affect you like it's going to affect me, and vice versa. So if you guys need any help with that, let me know. Hit me up. I will leave my website. The website is in the link, and I will leave it in the comments. All right. Anyway, Jupiter does very well in Gemini. So if you had struggled with communicating, Gemini rules writing, Gemini rules speaking. So, maybe this is a good time for you to do, resumes, applications, whatever form of communication. Maybe this is time for you to upgrade that car because Mercury rules cars also. Maybe you can upgrade that car, things like that. Maybe you need to upgrade that computer or that iPad, get the next version, like my tramp phone. I ain't gonna say it. Maybe it's time for you to upgrade some technology in your life. So that's what Jupiter energy does. Saturn is in Pisces. Now let me tell you something. Saturn is the daddy of the zodiac. Saturn does not like to be in Pisces. That's too much water. Pisces and Saturn, it clashes. Pisces don't like boundaries. Pisces dissolves anything it touches, and Saturn is the enforcer of boundaries. Saturn holds us accountable. Saturn is the planet of karma. So, and it's in retrograde. So, y'all, we're going to do a separate video after this, and I'm going to explain to y'all what that energy does, but be very careful with making important choices in your life because right now, with it being in retrograde, because it's hard for you to really see it. Pisces can be in our blind spot sometimes, so just be careful. All right, next we have Uranus and Taurus. It doesn't do what Uranus is very chaotic and it's impulsive, and Taurus, it doesn't do well. That's another planet that is debilitated in that sign. Taurus does not do well in the sign of Uranus. Neptune is in Aries. That's good. So we might see a lot of breakthroughs with medicine, so on and so forth, because Aries rules the body. So we know with it being in Neptune rules the medical field, the medical industry. So we might start seeing a lot of breakthroughs and changes in medicine. And then we have Pluto in Aquarius. Y'all already know that is the age of Aquarius. That is power in the hands of the people. All right, so y'all stay tuned for part 2. All right, until next time, peace out.